Well, hello. It's time for another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This is the show where I talk about the fountain pens and inks I've been using throughout the week. And it's been 2 weeks. So I did a few live streams last week, and we'll talk about the snow here. But first, let's look at the pens. So, if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And hey, how's the weather where you're at? So we'll talk weather also in this little talk. So, let's take a look at some pens now for real. Look at quite a lot of pens tonight. I kind of went a little nuts with all these days off and inked up way too many. And interestingly enough, most of these pens are vintage this week. So from left to right, I have a Pilot Parallel. I have a Parker Duofold. Parker Sonnet. Jinhao 51A. Parker Duofold Senior. Pilot Justus 95. Parker Duofold Junior. Swan Todd 3240. Parker Slimfold, an Astura 82, Montblanc 32, Parker 75, and finally a Montblanc 225. So, we're going to do some writing. So, as always, I'll be using this Cognitive Surplus notebook. I'm going to play first with this Pilot Parallel, because that's a freaky monster. And then we'll get into the real pens in use. So I'm going to start with this Parker Parallel, mainly because I'm not going to do a full writing sample with it. They come in a variety of nib sizes. I'm kind of sorry I inked this one up. I was trying to make a couple of holiday cards, and this is the wrong size nib. It's just a huge monster. Let's see if I can get this on screen here. So, Pilot Parallel. So, lesson learned, next time I try something like this, I'll use a narrower nib. Honestly, and I'm not good at this nib either, but honestly, what good is a nib this size good for? And I'm not a calligrapher, which doesn't help either. Oh, and I misspelled parallel. Okay, so 6mm, and the ink in this is Girbon, J. Herbin, Emerald of Chivor. So what I will say for this pen is it does show off the ink very nicely. I don't know how well it's going to pick up here. So it's kind of a mystery to me what will happen here. What I hate about these sparkly inks is the sparkles start to settle down in the converter and in the feed. So it's never as good as that very first day it's inked up. And it's been inked up for several days now. So, on to the real pens. Hasn't been cleaned out yet, but the Lamy 2000 is taking a short break while I clean it out for the spring semester. So in its place, let's get that a little better exposed, maybe. So in its place, yes, I'm trying a different setting here, and I'm not liking how it's working out. Shoot! In its place, I'm using this Parker Sonnet, which has a lot of the same good qualities, slip cap, a nice fine nib. Doesn't have the ink capacity, it has just a proprietary converter. But I've sung this pen's praises before. I like it. You may not, but that's okay. I've had people tell me it's overpriced, and maybe it is. But I like it. So it's Parker Sonnet Fine. The ink in it is Aurora Black. And, you know, since I had emptied out the Lamy 2000, well, over the last break, the inadvertent break we had last week, I decided, no, I'm not going to refill it. I'll just clean it out a week early. It's still sitting in the kitchen waiting to get cleaned out, but anyway, that's on the list of projects for Saturday. So I think this pen does very well with the Aurora Black. I think it writes just as well. You know, it's not quite as nice to hold. I don't think it's quite as attractive. My students have been very impressed with it when they see me writing with it. But yeah, I like the Lamy 2000 better. But this isn't a bad pen. And if a more traditional pen than the Lamy 2000 appeals to you, that may be more your speed. This is the Jinhao 51A. Just figured out one of the reasons why this isn't working right. Okay, so yeah, that helped a little. Jinhao 51A. Very beautiful pen. Not very expensive, about $10, but very beautiful pen. The ink in it is Iroshizuku. In fact, it's my last Iroshizuku. Last couple drops of this ink. Very nice orange. I do have other orange inks, so you know, at some point I'll need to buy an orange ink, but not yet. We'll use up some other oranges first. But this is certainly a contender. The pen is very comfortable to hold. I'm happy with it. And then, continuing in this Parker vein, I have a Parker Duofold Senior. I did a live stream on this during the 4 days worth of blizzard we had last week. This was my favorite of the batch I talked about in that video. So Parker Duofold. I don't know if the microphone's picking up that feedback. So what's this called? Krishna, Sea, and Storm. Which turns out to be an extremely attractive color. I decided what it reminds me of. It kind of reminds me of that Monte Grappa Bordeaux, which is a color that they discontinued. I used up my first bottle of it, but I do have one more bottle remaining. I'm just going to keep it on the shelf for a while. But you'll see it eventually, because all good things come to an end, and my stash of that ink must come to an end someday too. I have my Pilot Custom 95, and since every week I've either done both hard and soft, or I've just done soft, we're going to turn it to the hard setting and do it that way this week. This converter that's in it is a Con 70, and it holds an amazing amount of ink. I don't notice huge variation in the writing with this pen, but I do notice a huge variation in how it feels with the hard and the soft setting. The ink in this one is De Atramentis. Mint Turquoise. So very attractive green color. Actually, Parker Green kind of reminds me of this, but as far as I know, Parker Green is discontinued. I like Parker Green. I might have to ink a pen up with that here again one of these days. I've got that, and I got Parker Red, and then I have a variety of cartridges. So Parker used to have more colors, but why am I talking about Parker when it's a De Atramentis ink? I don't know. Then we get to the Parker Duofold Junior. Another very nice pen. The Duofold Senior and Duofold Junior were actually sent to me by a viewer from Australia, of all places. Okay, this may be out of ink, because I promised I was writing with it earlier this evening. So I'm not 100% sure what the problem is here. Okay, I think it's going now. Maybe it's just camera shy. The ink in it is another Krishna. Seems to be an appropriate Krishna for tonight. If you could see what the wind is doing out there, it's quite something. And it's quite cold right now. I'm trying to remember the Celsius. It's minus 17 Fahrenheit. I want to say like minus 22 Celsius. Something like that. Didn't do the math, I just estimated in my head. So if I'm wrong, don't get mad. Doing my best. He says as he sits in front of a perfectly good computer with an internet connection. Okay, I lied. Minus 17 is minus 27 degrees Celsius. Alrighty, my next pen. Oops, sorry I did that to the microphone. My next pen is a rather attractive dark green pen. It's a Swan, Mabie Todd, so a British pen. In fact, these two Duofolds are British as well. Probably from about the same era. Sorry, I just noticed something. I can't remember what it says. Okay, so what I noticed is, and I've probably noticed this before and just forgot, but there's a little writing there. It's just the word Swan. I really enjoy those pens that I find from behind the Iron Curtain, especially when I find a good one. But I enjoy the other vintage pens as well, which is why you find me here tonight writing with a bunch of British pens and German pens. So this is Rohrer and Klingner, speaking of German. The ink is Alt-goldgrün. Which is a very nice, very unique green, and I think when I run this bottle out, I'm actually going to replace it. I may give it a break first. There are a lot of inks I'd like to replace, and I have a lot of green in my collection, so let's see what other greens I have. This is not green. This is my Parker Slimfold. This is writing with another Krishna ink. This is like the two Duofolds, only smaller. Almost too small for my tastes. The ink in it is Krishna. Appropriately enough, Christmas Eve. So Christmas Eve is sort of a dark blue ink, but when you study it, it actually shows a bit of sheening. So I've had kind of a lot of fun with this ink once I discovered all of its interesting properties. So we'll give it a chance to dry here. And let's see if I can pull this off. Sorta. Trying to... Oh, I'll bet the white... Yeah, the white balance is off. Because I'm holding it up near the camera. I adjusted the white balance for down here where there's different lights on it. Up high it doesn't have those same lights. But it's a reddish sheen if you couldn't tell that. This pen, beautiful Astura 82. Nice Italian pen. Don't know much about it. Couldn't find much about it. It writes nicely. The nib kind of looks like it got dropped, and it's very picky about how it's held. But it writes well when I hold it right. The ink in it is de Atramentis. Aubergine. Which is a very nice dark purple, which is an appropriate name, or appropriate color for an ink of this name. I will probably replace this bottle when I empty it out, but... Yeah, always listen to what comes after the but when a statement like that is made. But I do have a bottle of Rohrer and Klingner Aubergine, which I think was just a special edition. So I'll probably use that up before I replace this bottle. I kind of like this one a little bit better. Plus, I can buy this when I can't buy the Rohrer and Klingner anymore. So now we get to the bird splat part of this show. We have a Montblanc 32. There's a whole story behind this, which at the time the company was called Mabie Pens. Now they're called Proto Pens. But I'd ordered a vintage Aurora 88 from them. And the German Postal Service smushed it. And so they contacted me, the Mabie Pens at that time, now they're called Proto Pens, and asked if they could replace it with a different pen. They didn't charge me or anything. I imagine they got some kind of insurance. But anyway, this is the pen I ended up purchasing, because I'd actually been like, oh, I want that Montblanc 32, because I've never owned one Montblanc before. And I really want that Aurora 88, so I went the direction of the Aurora 88, and then mush in the German Postal Service, like I said. So I was happy to get this as a replacement. And even though it was about $20 more expensive, Mabie Pens just ate the difference. So, yeah, so I've been a big fan of them ever since. Plus, they always have some very uncommon pens. And there's more than a few pens in my collection from them. And occasionally, they've contacted me to, share some interesting stories and other things. Not sponsored by them in any way, because I don't do sponsorships, but just a happy customer. So this is a Parker 75 with a chiseled finish, or chisile. Darn it, I wrote down how to say it, and it's over the other side of the room. Okay, we'll just go with chiseled. I see that there's now a Parker Sonnet out that has this chiseled finish again. Disappeared from the Parker lineup for a while, so I suppose these things come and go in style. I think this is a fine nib. The ink in it is a Iroshizuku. Just figured out why Did that help the white balance at all? I had one of my lights in the wrong setting. Iroshizuku Asa-gao. Which is just a very attractive dark blue. I going to a Christmas party on the 25th. We're all supposed to bring a gift, and then we do a gift exchange, so I'm cheating. I am getting rid of some inks that I don't really want. And I'm going to throw a few inexpensive fountain pens in there. So it's kind of a white elephant where, you can draw a number, and then that's your order to go grab a gift, and you can either steal or pick one from under the tree till everybody's gone through. So this is a Montblanc 225 with an extra fine nib. Has a same finish as a Lamy 2000, so that keeps me feeling my Lamy feelings. It is missing a bird splat, but has one on the other end to reassure us that it is what it claims to be. This ink reminded me that, I was talking about Gerbon Lit de Thé, and I was saying that's my favorite brown. Then I found this bottle. I still like Lit de Thé better. Oops, not Pelican. Yeah, it is Pelican, but sorta. But this is a special edition. It was only made for a year. So this is Pelican Smoky Quartz. So very nice brown. I just happen to like the Lit de Thé better. And, I can't buy any more when this bottle runs out, whereas the Lit de Thé I can. So I've gotten to be not so much of a fan of special edition inks because, well, what do you do when you run out? I guess that's what makes it special or something, but not a fan. So those are the fountain pens and inks I've been using this week. And last week. I think, I'm not thinking I added any. I was going to add my dollar pen, but it's still sitting there because, as you can see, I have a plethora of pens inked up right now. But we've had a new experience for me. So last week, when I did 3 live streams in a row, we had 4 snow days in a row. So why didn't I film pens in use for Friday? Mainly because I was all penned out. By Thursday I did a video not on pens, so that's why there was no pens in use last week. But there obviously is one this week. So the storm dropped at least a foot of snow, and it actually got the wildest on Thursday and Friday, and just drifted like crazy. So this storm, I actually got up Wednesday morning, so Wednesday, the 21st, and I looked out the window and I thought, ooh, I'll bet school gets called off today because the snow was just coming down. Well, it wasn't called off, and I'm somebody who likes to go to work early, and I have been guilty of getting to work and then discovering that the snow day got called off, but this new superintendent we have likes to call them earlier in the day than the previous one did, so that helps. But because there's nothing worse than getting to school and saying, oh, what are you here for? Work? Oh, about that. So so they called it off last week for 4 days. This week at 10:30 they sent all the rural students home, which is a lot of kids in this school district. And I will just tell you, the school district where I live covers a land area bigger than the state of Rhode Island by several hundred square miles and educates about 500 students, grades K through 12. I'm trying to tell you something about the nature of our students and the types of roads that they live on. Needless to say, they sent everybody else home about an hour later, and it was quite wild and woolly out there. Quite the wind. And cold. The snow is just, if you're walking in the wrong direction, the snow's just eating away at your face like sand. And then, so I stayed home Wednesday. Honestly, I just read. It was nice. And then Thursday, which I'm actually filming this on Thursday, it's just been blowing and cold all day. And at times I can't even see my neighbors. And I live in town. But so I haven't been out in this storm to take any footage. 1 or 2 bits of footage out my front door. So most of the footage I'm going to share is from last week's blizzard. But anyway, it's been quite a time. So 4 days in a row last week, 2 days in a row this week of no school. And making it up ought to be all kinds of fun. Why don't we do virtual? Well, a couple reasons. One reason is a lot of virtual instruction just turns into a joke. Sorry to say this, but ask anybody about how much learning went on during the lockdown during COVID. Not very much. So virtual doesn't work. Plus, hey, surprise teachers and students, we're going online today. I hope all you youngsters brought your devices home. Mom and Dad, you're going to have to take over the responsibility of making sure they tune in. And hey, teachers, come up with lessons. Because North Dakota state law, it has to be minute per minute match to count as virtual instruction, which does not work. So we're leaning toward the make it up, maybe cut a few vacation days here and there. Plus, a lot of our students are rural, and teachers too. So not only are they out of school, they're needed to do farm work, like to save their animals, the livelihood that they depend on. Maybe if you live in town, you can get away with doing whatever kids these days do when they have a snow day. But when you live in the country, you've got some other duties. You're a employee, basically, and important for your family's livelihood. So we have instituted a policy for virtual schooling. So if we have to go that route, we will. But we've looked at what other schools are doing and calling virtual learning and saying, oh, sounds good, to actually look what they did. And it's basically a day just to make up hours, and it's not actually any kind of learning. The only way, really, like the research on homework is saying that it should be review of old skills, not trying to teach anything new. And virtual learning is basically the same way. It should just be a review of old skills. And I'm not seeing a lot of the schools that are doing the virtual learning that they're even doing that. It's just busy work. And do we really want to just give our kids busy work just so we can say, oh, we did a day? Or make up a day and have them actually in class learning something. So that's where we're at right now. But virtual is an option depending on how things go for the rest of this winter, because it sure hasn't started out well. I have been teaching. I'm in my 23rd year of teaching, actually. I have never in my life, including as a student, had 4 snow days in a row. The most I've ever had in a row is 2. And never 2 weeks in a row where we get this kind of nonsense. So, and hey, the holiday break, we're going to have nice weather. So at least it'll put a crust on the snow so it can't drift anymore. But, there's a lot of snow out there. So anyway, this storm that I'm going to show you here is from last week. And we'll just show you some stuff around town. And then I may get out if the wind dies down tomorrow and do some filming. But not today. It was too cold. It got up to, like I said, a high of minus 16 or what was that? Minus 27 Celsius. Way too cold to be out without reason. So I wasn't. I stayed home. Cooked, cleaned, read, did some pen stuff. And hey, on that note, I did a short that was actually fountain pen related. Let me know what you think of that. Maybe that'll be something I can start doing in the future. Because that brought me back to old times. Because first I held the cell phone out like this, filmed myself. Then I held it above the pen. Kind of like my very first pen videos where I used to use the iPad the same way. But anyway, let's take a look at some snow. So December has been kind of fun. This is our first 8-inch snowstorm. No wind or anything with it. We did end up with a slight snow delay the next day, but just look how gentle and peaceful this is. And then other stuff happens. So I'll narrate some, and others I'll record on place. So I ended up shoveling last night, or I'm sorry, today after I got home from work. Had to, rake 8 inches of snow off the car. There's a lot of snow here. Wasn't a lot of wind last night. Oh, yeah, I need to repaint my siding. Wasn't a lot of snow here, or wind here, but enough. And I wish I'd made my driveway about 2 feet wider during the last snowstorm, because I thought that one was going to melt completely, so it didn't work very hard, but yeah, it's not all gone. So, some more pretty Christmas lights. Oh wait, they're mine. Yeah, I love those twinkle lights. They're this really cool shimmering effect that you only get with incandescent. So, living room has them, and that's it. Because the bedroom's got to stay dark at night. I even have shimmering lights in the kitchen, and yes, I know I need to paint the siding. That's one of those things that came up when it was too cold to paint. But yeah, love them. So just peeking down the avenue where I live. I'm not the only one with lights. A lot of cool lights up. And then we got a real blizzard. It started out kind of mildly, blowing, some snow and stuff. Canceled school, of course, on a Tuesday. Yay. But kind of a letdown as far as, it's not real blizzardy. I mean, I kind of get why they didn't have school, but kind of a letdown. So Wednesday came, it kept looking like this. And then I realized on Thursday morning that holy buckets, there's a lot of snow out there. And it's kind of blowing. And that's why you have no audio other than me, because it was just microphone noise. But really blowing. And out the back door it shows up a lot better. And then had another morning where I'm just like, wow, I don't even want to go outside. Okay, bad lighting, but deal with it. I'm going to go outdoors. I have not been outdoors, and I want to go outdoors. And I was hoping I'd get outdoors tomorrow, but school's canceled again. And I just really want to get outdoors because I've been in this flipping house for 3 days in a row. So cabin fever is setting in, so I'm going to take you along. I'm pretty sure my audio is going to be useless from this, the way the wind's blowing. And I'm pretty sure the camera's going to die really, really quickly. So I don't know how much I'll get, but I'm going to try. And I'm going to get outdoors because I flipping can't take this anymore. I got to get outdoors. 6 o'clock p.m. my time. It's 8 degrees out there Fahrenheit, which is, I don't know, like negative 15, 16 something Celsius. So see you outdoors because I'm going outdoors. Do you see an obsession yet? I want to go outdoors. So that craziness got me outdoors. Ew. You know why? Yeah, it kept blowing, and wow, what a drift out front of the house. But check this out. Good thing is Lutherans doing all that sound, because what if another religious group had done that? Here, Fun Motel. Yeah, 4 days of blizzard. We had 4 days of snow days. Some people got stuck for 4 days in a motel, or worse, here at the truck stop in their semi for 4 flippin' days. I don't know how trucker pay works, but do you get paid if weather prevents you delivering? I think not. So, yeah, it was interesting talking to the lady who was working that night, because she's like, yeah, I'm just lucky I'm here, because holy cow, I barely got out of my house. And here's why, because here's Camry, buried, really buried. They haven't plowed yet. And here's Mount Squirrel in front of my house, and it's still there. I gave up. I just decided, you know, who cares? I can get out the front door, I can wade through the snow if I have to in the snow, and yeah. Here's my car before the plow came through. I decided, well, I know, just wait. Yeah, here's why. Because they throw the snow so far back and it ends up under the car, and I end up on my hands and knees or my belly for an hour or more, shoveling snow out from under the car. And I'm just like, no, don't want to do that. So I've learned just, yeah. Here's the furnace pipes. They end up drifting shut during this storm. Most storms, no, but this storm, yes. So I was out every day checking them several times a day. And yeah, the car was only plugged up in the front. So, other than that massive amount of snow in the front, what do? We ended up with 4 snow days, and then the next week, it started on Monday, but here's a little view of the school. This is up in our middle school, or sorry, elementary school. And let's just take a view, because why not? High school down there, middle school roof. You can see the gym down there. But hey, on Wednesday the next week, we got sent home early because another blizzard came through. So, yay! And here's a little view of it from my backyard. You can see that basically the garden and the yard are disappearing under all the flippin' snow. There is my Camry after I dug it out. Hiding the license plate. But yeah, really pretty. This is today on Friday, 23rd. Here's my commute to school. This sidewalk is plugged. I'll be walking to the street. Here is the school today. I turned back here because I was so cold from the wind blowing in my face at minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit. What is that, minus 26? And yeah, this is how you dress for that kind of weather. Here is the elementary school part of our building, because yeah, it's all one building. The old hospital. And here is the most photogenic church in town, the Methodist Church. I don't go there, but it is the most photogenic church in town. And this is me after shoveling for all that time and walking. And then after I shoveled, I decided I'm going to go out. So here I am on the highway. Highway looks really good. In fact, nothing was closed right at the time I filmed this, which was new. The rural roads weren't so great. So anything rural you see here is not very rural. I'm going to wait till we get some warm weather to melt the snow a little and prevent drifting. Because, yeah, this is a paved road. And if it's this bad, what are the gravel roads like? But amazing amount of snow. Because we had a foot in the last storm. We had 8 inches in the storm before that. We had, I forget how much in the storm before that. And in this current storm, I really don't know how much we had, but it was a lot. So, I'll just take you through a few neighborhoods, give you a look around town. I had some requests from, I never see snow where I live. So, here you go. This is what it looks like when you get snow. Welcome to North Dakota, and we're always looking for new people to live here. Because you get to live in conditions like this. Who doesn't want to live in this? But, I'll be honest. I had a question from one of my viewers. What if you had the chance to move to a place like Mare, California, where the weather is always awesome? And I will admit, I get frustrated with snow. I also hate mowing lawns. And I think if I lived in a place where there wasn't really a winter, I think I would miss it. I like winter. It's like a pause. Every season you get to do different things. Winter is my season where I can really focus on the indoors. You know, what environment am I living in? What environment am I working in? Summer, I focus more on the outdoors. I want to explore. I want to travel. I want to... What's growing in the garden? What new weeds have come up? So, yeah, I think I'm one of those sad people that needs to live where there's 4 seasons. Not that you couldn't entice me away, but you got to be pretty enticing. So my town, they clean up the main street. Yeah, a lot of people have mentioned other videos of my town that there's never any people there. Well, yeah, because I record when there's no people there, but you just saw people there Friday afternoon. Well, my town piles up snow in heaps to clean up Main Street, and then they come in with front end loaders and trucks and things and truck it away. And yeah, a lot of heaps left, but they made a lot of progress. So I will be curious to see how much snow we got in this blizzard. So I decided, I'm just going to drive through my town. On your left, on your right, the park you're going to see later this month. Going to do a festival of lights. But mostly last time I ran my town in the winter, I had a lot of remarks of, wow, you live in a really ugly town. So I thought I'd try to just visit a few other places in town, but I'll be honest, towns don't look their best in winter. You got all this fluffy white stuff, you just got to shove places, and if once it starts to melt, people are just like, ew, I can see the gravel you scraped up. Oh my god, it's ugly. And yeah, it just doesn't look good. So I guess we're looking as good as we can because the city came through and plowed everything this morning. And I'm not using the word city ironically. Everything in North Dakota is a city. It's just how we phrase it. But I don't know how much snow we had, but kind of fun to see it. And oh, this white building used to be our train depot. Check out a little piece of history. But anyway, just glad you came along, and I hope I never have another winter like this again, because this was a pretty awful winter. So here's me again. So I hope that made you insanely jealous. I bet some of you are experiencing it now, because as it leaves North Dakota, it's headed east. So my more eastern viewers are certainly getting this now. And what a rough time when people are trying to travel. So hope everybody's warm and safe. And if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And hey, hope you are safe, hope you're having good weather, hope you're having happy holidays, whichever holidays you celebrate, wow. And we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.